Hey y'all, and welcome back to the Vagina Healing Podcast. My name is Dakira, and I'm a dietitian that helps women to heal from chronic vaginal infections. And this episode is going to be about period health because one, your vaginal microbiome can play a role in your period health, and two, because I believe women should be really educated on their periods so that they know how to improve their periods because dealing with really painful periods is not normal. Dealing with period pain in general is not normal, it's just been normalized. Anyone telling you it's normal is technically it's not normal. Your body should be able to bleed without any pain, and it is possible because there are thousands, millions of women having periods with no pain, no heavy bleeding, and no abnormal or over overly done period symptoms. So I'm going to be hosting a free period masterclass actually on my YouTube channel, which is going to be basically a little bit of this podcast episode, but on crack. Like I'm going to be going over 10 different topics of what I know about period health, how to heal it naturally, holistically, things you can do to get to the root cause of your painful, heavy period. So if you want to join that free masterclass, it's going to be on my YouTube channel. I don't know the day yet because I am traveling within the next week or so. So I don't have a date yet, but if you want to make sure that you are staying up to date with it, I would either you can comment or message me through email, vitamindSLOC@gmail.com, or message me on any of my platforms saying I want to join the free period masterclass. And oh, actually, wait, no, I can send you. I can send you. Oh my god, I will put the link to the Google Doc down below. Just copy and paste it and add your name and email, or you can just subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Vaginal Health Dietitian. Because when I do the masterclass, you'll get notified as long as you're subscribed to my notifications on YouTube. So subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll also put the link down below to put your name and email. But this episode is going to be on how I healed my extremely painful heavy periods naturally by following my intuition, by using my mind to heal my body, and also using nutrition. So, to give you a backstory, throughout my life, I've never really had any significant period issues. One thing I didn't like about my period growing up was the fact that when I was younger, my period used to come every 2 weeks. And then when I got older, it came every 3 weeks. And now, till this day, my period comes every 3 weeks. That's one thing I never liked because to me, that's too soon every 3 weeks. And in the past, when I looked up how to make it every 4 weeks instead, I was never able to really find anything except for like birth control. And I don't want to be in birth control. I was on birth control in the past, and I believe 100% that birth control gave me PCOS. Um, and so I don't like birth controls. I don't want to do that. So I kind of just like let it go. And then recently, so in November, I was in the Netherlands. I was in the Netherlands for 2 months living with a friend, just to be in Europe and whatever. And so I was starting to get more into health manifestation. So I was so heavily focused on manifestation in regards to like money and like other topics, but not in regards to my health. And for those who are not aware of manifestation, I'm not gonna really go into what it is or anything, but it's basically just following what's called, well, everyone's version of it is different, but I follow law of assumption, which basically states whatever you assume is to be true. And so I was using manifestation practices and techniques to manifest healthier periods. And so it worked for October. I had a really good period. Then for my November period, I actually ended up in the hospital. And so sometimes with manifestation, when you're manifesting a new reality or something new for yourself, sometimes things can get worse before they get better. Because when things get worse, usually there are things you have to do to learn your lessons or to learn things in order to get you to your goal. Now, that is only applies to some people, not everybody. So you don't have to go through things um, worse before they get better. It just depends on the person. For me, I know exactly why I had to go through that hospitalization because now it changed the whole entire trajectory of my business. It I'll explain all that later, but basically it helped me to learn so much about all of that those things that I can now teach you guys. And so I don't like to use I don't like to basically have the intention with my body that I have to go through pain to teach other people things. So I feel like I had that belief for a while and it was dominant in my life, but now it's not anymore. But basically, so I was leaving the Netherlands and I was traveling back to the States and I had an overnight layover in France. And so I had my period. I took a Flixbus to France, and the whole time my period was fine. When I got to France, it was the second day of my period, so I was just chilling. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't feel like it. So I was just laying in bed all day in my hotel because I already been to France. I don't care about Paris, honestly, and so I just didn't really feel going anywhere. So I just stayed in my room the whole day, and then at nighttime, I started getting cramps, and then I was like, okay. So I was just affirming, saying that, because I use lots of mindset work because your mind controls your body, your mind heals your body. And whatever you speak over your life and over your body is what's going to be your reality. So I'm a firm believer in the power of the tongue. And whatever you claim is what you're going to experience in your life because scientifically, your subconscious mind's job is to perform confirmation bias, meaning it basically confirms all your thoughts and beliefs to be true. So I was basically just saying my body is doing its thing, but I don't get cramps. I have really healthy periods. My periods are really great. Like, I was just basically using affirmations over my health and over my body and my period so that the cramps go away. And they weren't going away. And then I took ibuprofen, and then that wasn't working. And then I was listening to period subliminals. So subliminals are basically audio recordings that have affirmations wired into them that can bypass your conscious mind, and they hit directly your subconscious mind where they can basically rewire your thoughts and beliefs without you having to do any physical work. So they're basically a passive way of manifestation. And there are subliminals for everything. There's subliminals for manifesting money, manifesting love, manifesting car, house, job, whatever you want. There's a subliminal for it on YouTube. I create health subliminals. So I make them specifically targeted for health conditions so that people can use subliminals to help them heal their bodies of certain health conditions. So I have a period health subliminal on my YouTube channel. I was listening to that and nothing was working and the pain was actually getting worse. And so I started looking up on Pinterest certain yoga poses I can do to help with alleviating cramps. It was working, but at the same time, it still was not working. Things were getting worse. Then I started throwing up. And so this started happening around like 2 a.m., the cramp starting. I started throwing up. No, actually, I think I started having diarrhea first. So I started having diarrhea and then I was throwing up and I was like, yo, this is crazy because I haven't thrown up from a period in over like 4 to 5 years. And in the past, that's only ever happened to me once. And when it happened to me once the first time, it was when I got diagnosed with PCOS. And that was like over like 3 years ago. So I was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? So I'm throwing up, I'm having diarrhea, nothing is working. I was taking hella ibuprofen, it wasn't working. My affirmations, my subliminal, everything was not working. And the pain was the most severe pain I've ever felt in my whole entire life. Like the pain radiated down my legs. It was like, it felt like there was electrical zaps going through my legs in my ass. So if any of you have ever experienced ass cramps on your period, it felt like that was happening to my ass and also throughout my whole entire legs and in my lower back for like 4 hours. So literally, I was dealing with this pain. It was so bad. I couldn't really feel my legs. It was throbbing. It was really painful. I was having those like zap type cramps. My whole body was aching. I felt really, really, really sick. I couldn't really move because my body was just so, it felt like it was so cramped up that like, I could barely move. And the pain was so excruciating. It felt like I was actually like either in labor or I was miscarrying. And so I was getting scared. But I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? First of all. Second of all, I'm in France. People in France barely speak English. So if I have to go to the hospital, that's going to be a whole thing in itself because it's 3 a.m. I'm in France. I would have to Uber to the hospital and then try to figure out how to communicate with people because I don't speak French. So it was so bad to the point where I did have to go to the hospital. And so I ended up calling the police. And what's crazy is that the police didn't even answer. So that was insane. I was like, holy shit, like the police didn't answer. They answered 30 minutes later. And then when they did answer, they were like, oh, we don't speak English. So we have to go to the front desk. So I had to put on clothes. I had to walk to the front desk and I could barely walk. I was like hunched over because of how bad the pain was. And I had to like lean against the wall. And I went to the receptionist. I'm like, I need to go to the hospital because she spoke English. I was like, I'm having really bad like period pain. Like, I don't even know. I was crying at this point because I was scared. Because I didn't know. I felt like I don't know if like I had like a cyst. I didn't know about that ruptured on my ovary. I didn't know if I was miscarrying. Mind you, I didn't have sex at this point for like 2 to 3 months, and I was getting my periods regularly. So I was like, I don't think I would be pregnant or anything. And so it was just crazy. So then she had to call the police. And then they didn't, it took them 30 minutes before giving us an answer. And they basically were like, yeah, you need to go in an ambulance if you, sorry, not an ambulance, in an Uber if you want the fastest results. So then I had to Uber to the hospital at 4 a.m. And when I got there, I was admitted into the emergency room. They immediately brought me to the back. And I was telling them what happened. They were running blood work on me. And one of the questions that they asked me was, how are your iron levels? Or do you have a history of anemia? And I was like, I do. And I checked my iron, and my iron was out of 5. Your iron being out of 5 is extremely dangerous to the point of like borderline fatality. Like it can be fatal. And an iron level that low can usually cause fainting and really bad anemic symptoms. Prior to this, I did feel anemic symptoms, but I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think it was that bad, honestly. But some of the symptoms I had was like really bad shortness of breath, like especially if I had to do any like endurance, like going up a hill or long walking or like rushing or anything, I would be really winded and out of breath and I would get really dizzy. Heat would make me really, really dizzy. Whenever I would smoke weed or eat edibles, I would get way too high, like to the point where I felt fucked up. Um, and I wasn't really that tired, honestly. It was just, I just felt really exhausted easily from like walking or going up the stairs and from heat and from like over endurance. Those are like my main symptoms. And also, I would hear my heartbeat in my ears a lot, like a lot. And it was really annoying because it would be like in my ear a lot. So those are my main symptoms, but I kind of ignored it, which I obviously don't recommend. I obviously would tell people now to never ignore your bodily symptoms ever because hello, I ended up in the hospital. So they're like, yeah, your iron's at a 5, and that's probably why you're having all this pain. And at this time, I had no idea the correlation between iron deficiency anemia and painful periods. And so they gave me like a pain medication like through an IV. I had to get like an anti-spaz, I forgot what the name is, spasmodic medication to stop the muscle cramping. I had to get an iron infusion, and immediately with the iron infusion and with the pain medication, I felt so much better. Like I literally felt the relief on my body. And so I ended up also getting, I got like um an ultrasound. I got hella tests done, hella labs, and y'all, guess the price. The price of everything I got for the scans, the hospital visit, the blood work, the doc, like everything came out to like 140 euros. I was so scared of going to the hospital because I thought it was going to be like 10K. So that's also why I was kind of like resisting going to the hospital. I'm like, how the hell am I going to pay these people in France and then leave and then go back to the States? So it ended up being 140 euros, which goes to show you how insanely overcharged we are in America, which we should all know that by now. So basically, after that, I felt way better. They basically told me to just really prioritize my iron through supplements and also through my food. And so after this, I started researching. I'm like, this can never in my life happen to me again. And so I was looking up the correlation between iron and painful periods. And turns out there was a huge correlation between iron deficiency anemia and painful periods, which then triggered me, not triggered, I don't want to use that word, inspired me to then create a whole entire YouTube series teaching on iron deficiency anemia, the importance of healing your iron levels, and the cons and side effects of having anemia, and basically teaching women everything that you need to know to heal your iron levels. And then I eventually ended up creating an iron ebook as well. So if that didn't happen to me, I wouldn't have known that. And so I wouldn't have been able to help thousands of other women who learn from my free resources about their iron levels. And so it basically opened up a new door for me of learning about iron and the importance of not just iron, but also other minerals with healing your heavy painful periods. And so the reason why iron deficiency anemia can cause heavy painful periods is because when there is a lack of blood flow to your womb space because of low iron, your body basically has to work harder to push the blood out. And so what can happen is if your iron is too low, is it can cause what's called uterine hypoxia, which is basically when your uterus is starved of oxygen. So your body has to work 10 times harder to push the blood out. And when it does that, it has to increase a chemical in your body called prostaglandins. Prostaglandins are a pain chemical that basically tell your body to contract, and it causes pain. So we release prostaglandins during our period, and we also release them during labor, which is why those two experiences are typically painful. But if you have an overproduction of prostaglandins, as in it's an excess because your body has to forcefully push things out, it can cause really severe painful experiences. And so iron is also a mineral, and its job is not just about oxygen delivery throughout your body and your blood health, but iron plays a role in so many different things. Another symptom that I had of iron deficiency anemia was sensory pica. So pica is basically when people eat non-food items because they're craving it. Mine was sensory, so I was addicted and obsessed with smelling rubbing alcohol. So some people can have this with like pine sol or gasoline or chewing on ice. So these are all forms of pica. Mine was rubbing alcohol. So I was literally craving smelling rubbing alcohol, and I was doing it every single day because iron plays a role in the dopamine reward center in your brain. And so my body was craving inhaling rubbing alcohol because my iron was so low that my body was looking for quick sources of dopamine because it provided quick blood flow because of how low my iron was. So, with that, your minerals play a huge role in your body because your body runs on minerals. Minerals are the spark plugs and the foundation of your body. Your body cannot run without minerals. So, all of the organs and basically systems in your body run on minerals. If any of your minerals are low or out of whack, it can lead to health conditions, including really painful periods. So, with the painful period, the reason why I ended up getting really bad cramps was because of the uterine hypoxia. My uterus was starved of oxygen because of how low my iron was, that it caused those really painful periods. So, immediately I went into fixing mode. I started incorporating lots of iron rich foods. I was eating in a way in which iron can be absorbed into my body because with iron, you have to be eating iron with cofactors, which are basically retinol and copper for optimal absorption. And you also have to eat in a way in which you're not consuming iron blocking foods in the same iron rich meals, like calcium or coffee, tea, matcha, dairy. But I have full YouTube videos on all of this. So I'm not going to go into that in that much details. And I have the iron deficiency anemia ebook down below. And I'm going to be teaching the free period health masterclass. So I'm not going to go into all that now. But basically, I started eating it away from my iron. Some basic things I did was I started incorporating more red meats, black shot molasses every single day, dark chocolate for retinol, sorry, not for retinol, for copper, grass fed butter, grass fed ghee for retinol because of the vitamin A, um, and things like that. And so what had happened was, so at this point now I'm just continuously speaking health over my life and just continuously manifesting healthy periods. I still ended up throwing up on the next two periods after that. And I'm like, okay, this is literally not normal. I don't know what's going on. But I was okay, maybe it's my body still adjusting. And so I was researching that it can take up to 1 to 3 cycles to see changes if you're implementing changes. So I was like, okay, maybe I have to wait it out. And so my period pain throughout my cycles from that point on have decreased a little bit, but they were still really bad. And I was also throwing up. So my December period and my January period were fine. My February, because now we're in March, my February period I believe was fine, but then in March, my March period was bad. March I ended up throwing up again. This period was the first period I had where I my bleeding was really light. I barely had cramps and no throwing up. So I know that my body has finally recalibrated and has healed itself from the painful periods. I'm going to go in more on how I ended up discovering that. So, when you start speaking health over your body and you start listening to affirmations for health, you start basically speaking positivity around your health, you start commanding your body to heal, your intuition will guide you as to what to do because your subconscious mind's job is to prove your thoughts and beliefs to be true. So if I'm affirming every day that I have healthy periods and I'm visualizing myself having healthy periods, so I'm visualizing the pad having very little blood, I'm visualizing me having really good periods, your body has to prove that to you to be true. And so I was using my intuition to guide me to healing my periods. I'm like, okay, I've increased my iron levels. So why am I still having painful periods? So I randomly got an ad on my Instagram page to take a class for a functional test called a hair tissue mineral analysis test. which I was starting to get into functional testing anyways because I like to help people get to the root cause of their health issues. And so functional tests are basically tests that are run by functional practitioners such as functional doctors or functional dietitians, which I am a functional dietitian. And the word functional just means it gets to the root cause. So there's many functional tests, like there's a GI map test that can check for your gut health. There's a Dutch test that can check for your hormonal health. So those get to the root cause of your gut health issues and your hormonal health issues. And so in my VAG Reset Advanced program, I do offer all three tests: gut health, the GI map test, the Dutch test, and also the HTMA test. And so the HTMA test stands for hair tissue mineral analysis test. So it's basically a test in which you test your hair to check for your minerals. When you are checking for minerals in your blood through blood work, it's not accurate because majority of your minerals are stored in your bone. So excess minerals that are floating in your blood is not an accurate picture the of your mineral stores. So I was taking this course. It was like a 1 day class, master class thing. And it was basically on this test, and it was going over who it's for and what it entails and everything. And then I started going over into certain profiles of who this test would be for. So they started talking about people that have a fast oxidizing profile and a slow oxidizing profile. Basically, what that means is you have either a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism. And so I have a whole entire podcast episode on minerals and your metabolism and how to heal your metabolism if it's either too fast or too slow. But basically, when you have a fast metabolism or a slow metabolism, this can lead to mineral deficiencies. And so throughout my whole entire life, I have dealt with the fast metabolism. So growing up, it was really easy for me to lose weight. If I ever needed to lose weight, I can run for a week and drop like 5 pounds in a week. And so I always had that fast metabolism. But what I didn't know was that a fast metabolism, as you continue getting older, is actually not good for you because basically a fast metabolism means that things in your body are moving way too fast. When you have a slow metabolism, things in your body moving way too slow. So just to go over symptoms of both profiles for you guys so you understand. And I go over this again in the other podcast episode. So watch that one for more details. But basically, with a fast oxidizing profile, aka a fast metabolism, some of the symptoms that you can be dealing with are anxiety, having a type A personality, being wired, being irritable, being aggressive, having loose stools, oily skin and hair, racing mind, high blood pressure, belly fat, high blood sugar, short tempered, violent tendencies, water retention, sweating easily, panic attacks, being emotionally sensitive, and also increased risk for osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. People that have fast metabolisms can also deal with chronically being in fight or flight mode or being in a sympathetic activated state all the time. People can also deal with having blood sugar issues like insulin resistance. People can also, with the fast metabolism, can also deal with having pancreatic enzyme issues. So they typically have issues with having low digestive enzymes. So I, in the past, dealt with pancreatic insufficiency when I was in my grad school program, which is basically when your pancreas doesn't produce enough enzymes. So you have an issue breaking down food, and that can cause you to have diarrhea after each meal. So I was dealing with that. These people typically are always stressed, and they typically are low key addicted to stress unconsciously. They can get agitated more easily or be very hyper excitable. They can also be a workaholic, and so they can also with your metabolism being too fast, they can experience more emotional stress, especially anxiety about the future. Blood pressure is also elevated. They may have dental problems. They may sweat really easily. Dental problems, as in they may have cavities more frequently. They also are really hungry all the time. So anyone that knows me knows that I'm always hungry and knows that I do not handle hunger well. So if I'm hungry, we need to eat very soon because I'm gonna be pissed off if we don't eat. And so they also will gain weight specifically in their stomach area. And all of these issues are things I had dealt with all throughout my life. When it comes to, I never dealt with violent tendencies or what are the other ones? Let me pull up the list again. I never dealt with apathy. I never dealt with depression really, only when I had low vitamin D. I never dealt with thyroid issues or let's see what else. Insomnia or hypotension or wait, no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong list. Sorry. I never really dealt with, let me see. High blood pressure, I never dealt with. Violent tendencies, I never dealt with. But everything else, also minus the osteoporosis and osteoarthritis, I've dealt with. So throughout my life, I've always been type A. I've always been anxious, wired, irritable. I could be aggressive, not anymore. But I also dealt with loose stools throughout my life. So randomly having diarrhea more frequently than normal. I've always had oily skin and hair, and that would lead to acne. I've also had a racing mind, belly fat particularly, blood sugar issues. 'Cause I did deal with PCOS, insulin resistance, short tempered, water retention. I always was a person that sweat really easily, always. Panic attacks and things like that. So immediately, and obviously, if you want to know the properties of a slow metabolism or a slow oxidizer, listen to the other episode. I'm not going to go into that now. This is just me telling my story. So immediately, I was like, holy shit, this is literally what's happening to me. I've had all of these symptoms. So all the things about my body I've been trying to heal for years all stemmed from me having a fast metabolism. So you see how my intuition naturally guided me towards watching that masterclass and then learning this, because that was the next thing I needed to learn in order to help heal my periods. And so people typically with a fast oxidizing profile typically will have where is it? They'll typically have fast thyroid or adrenal activity. They'll have higher production of aldosterone. They'll have excess retention of sodium and potassium. Their calcium and magnesium are burned through really quickly. That's the key here. So when you have a fast metabolism, you typically, because it's your metabolism is so fast, you burn through your minerals really fast. So my body was basically burning through calcium and magnesium so fast. And we know that magnesium is really important for not just your period health and preventing cramps and joint pain, but also in your nervous system. That's why magnesium is really popular right now for nervous system regulation, because magnesium can help to regulate your nervous system and to keep you calm. But because throughout my whole entire life, my metabolism was so fast, it was burning through my magnesium, and that's why I was having all of those anxiety tendencies, type A personality tendencies, wired, irritable, and also having really painful periods because my magnesium was low. And so I didn't have the proper minerals to help with preventing cramps. So my iron was low, my magnesium, I assumed intuitively that it was low. And so people with fast metabolisms have a really high risk of severe calcium and magnesium deficiency. So I realized that minerals are basically the foundation of your health. And if your minerals are out of whack, it can lead to different issues throughout your life. So for me, I know that also what I learned was that because of a fast metabolism, you're burning through minerals really fast. This can also lead to you having really quick periods, as in like your periods come very quickly, like every 3 weeks. And I've been looking for the answer for that for years, trying to figure out, why do my periods come every 21 days? Like, that shit is annoying. I'd rather it come every 28 days, because at least I have more time in between before dealing with a period again. So more of what I learned was that when you burn through your minerals fast, it can speed up your luteal phase, which is basically the phase before your period. And so that's why I was having short cycles. It can also lead to heavy bleeding because your body is basically rushing through the period process, which can obviously lead to more iron deficiency anemia, because you're bleeding so much, you're losing lots of blood. And then on top of that, women naturally lose iron every single day. And so everything was connecting. All the dots were connecting. My low iron led to me learning about low iron deficiency anemia and its connection with painful, heavy periods. And then my intuition guided me, because I was focused on healing my body with my mind, guided me towards taking this class, which then led me to learn about how having a fast metabolism can be detrimental when you get older, because you're continuously burning through minerals so fast that your body cannot keep up with it. If you're not eating properly, then you're basically not replenishing those minerals, and then that can lead to issues. So basically, what I had to do was, one, continue with the mindset work. So continuously speaking life over my health and speaking good health over my body, and just affirming and claiming that I have healthy periods. Number one, mindset is everything. Two, I had to follow the diet of of a fast oxidizer. So for fast metabolisms, these people typically benefit from eating a diet that is high in fatty protein, so high in red meats, which naturally I was doing that anyways because to help with my iron levels. So you see how things were naturally happening intuitively because I was following my intuition. So I started naturally eating more fatty protein anyways. Within the last year, I started craving red meats more and not craving chicken. I barely eat chicken anymore. I do not like chicken at all. I don't really like poultry that much either. I don't like lean seafood either. I prefer fatty seafood and fatty protein naturally. So my body was already telling me what I needed to eat. This is why women's intuition is powerful because your body will tell you what you need. So fast oxidizers benefit from eating more fatty protein. They benefit from eating lower carbohydrates. They benefit from a high fat diet. So basically, they benefit from eating a keto diet. High fat diet. They benefit from eating more calcium rich foods, more magnesium rich foods, sometimes potassium, and oftentimes copper and vitamin B2. So, if you want to know your metabolic profile in regards to your mineral status, you can do an HTMA test in my Vag Reset Advanced program. Or you can just ask me to do it for you and I'll charge an interpretation fee. But I didn't do the test because I already knew that I had this fast oxidizing profile because I believe in my intuition. But if you want to make sure, obviously do the test. But so basically, I changed my diet to eat more fatty protein, focusing on less carbs, more high fat, because I never really ate that much fat because I assumed that eating too much fats will one lead to weight gain, which is true because that is caloric deficit, calorically dense, sorry. And then two, I didn't want to develop high cholesterol and stuff, so I never really ate that much fat. But because people with the fast metabolism, they burn through their nutrients so quickly, even when you eat high fat, it's not likely that you will gain high cholesterol or gain weight because your body needs it to slow down your metabolism. And so people with fast metabolisms typically will actually lose weight once they increase their fatty protein and their fats. So I started incorporating foods I never really ate before, like dairy, for example. I would eat dairy like through ice cream and stuff, but I never ever ever bought dairy or cooked with it really because I thought dairy I had in beliefs that dairy was bad for you and that it was inflammatory. But I started incorporating more dairy. Like I started drinking A2 milk. I started using grass-fed butter because grass-fed butter is not just dairy, but it also has fat-soluble vitamins. So grass-fed butter and grass-fed ghee are really high in vitamins A, D, E, and K, which help with particularly vitamin A. Retinol helps with the absorption of iron in your body. And so with iron, like I told you guys before, you need copper and you need vitamin A. So I was already naturally eating more vitamin A rich foods and more copper rich foods to increase my iron levels, but turns out I needed it anyways for my metabolism. So I was eating more in regards to fatty protein, I mainly only eat fatty fish, which is sardines, salmon, mackerel, anchovies, herring. I mainly eat sardines, salmon, and wait, I don't eat herring, I don't eat anchovies, and I don't really eat mackerel, but I mainly eat sardines and salmon. Um, am I forgetting something? Because there's an acronym called SMASH. So salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring. Yeah, so I only eat the two S's, sardines and salmon. For fatty fish. For fatty meats, I mainly only eat lamb. I eat beef. I eat steak. I eat burgers. I basically eat all red meats. I don't like organ meats, so I don't eat those. But I did buy organ meat supplements to help with that. And so that's a protein that I eat. When it comes to lower carbs, I just focus on carbs being the smallest portion on my plate. And then when it comes to fats, I started increasing my fats significantly. So I started making foods with an insane amount of grass fed butter, lots of ghee, um, lots of olive oil, lots of avocado oil. I don't eat that. I don't like nuts, but I will incorporate seeds here and there. I also try to have an avocado smoothie every single day. I don't like avocados. I like avocado smoothies if I mix avocados with milk, honey, collagen, and yogurt. So I will do that every day, or if not, at least 3 to 5 times a week minimum. And so I do that still. Um, I would also eat lots of eggs. So eggs can naturally help with extending your luteal phase. So if you have a shortened luteal phase, you typically benefit from B6 rich foods. And what's the other thing? B6. But yeah, eggs are great for progesterone support. So basically, if you have a shortened luteal phase, it basically means your body is not producing enough progesterone. And so I was eating foods to help increase my progesterone levels to help have a longer luteal phase so that I can have a 28-day cycle and not a 21-day cycle. So all of these things intertwine. So these foods not only helped with slowing down my metabolism, they help with increasing my progesterone and also help with improving my iron levels as well. So for fats, I eat a really high fat diet now. I eat lots of dairy, so I have A2 milk, I have yogurt, I have kefir. I buy everything full fat, nothing that's low fat. Um, and I prioritize if I'm out eating somewhere, I'll get high fat things like pizza. Um, Let me think, things like that. So I try not to eat too much fried foods. So I don't encourage you to just start overdoing it with fried foods, but I'm referring to just whole foods that are high in fat. So pizza is literally just bread, tomato sauce, and cheese and meat. So that's a really high fat, high protein meal. So that's basically what I was doing. And throughout me doing these diet changes and then also eating iron rich foods and taking iron supplements and also eating mindfully so that I'm not blocking iron absorption, um, my periods, I was still experiencing period pain and also heavy bleeding. And so I would use my period as like an indicator as to what I have to do more of. So my February period, no, my March period where I threw up, I had a really heavy, like insanely heavy bleeding to the point where I was really heavily clotting, where I had to change my pad like 5 times in an hour because I was passing such really massive, heavy clots. And so I took that as a sign that my body was just adjusting, recalibrating, and healing. And I did throw up. And so my symptoms have gotten better. And now this is the first period I had where it was completely back to normal after me eating high fat, high protein, low carb consistently since December. And so, supplement wise, I take vitamin E, I take B6, and I also take cod liver oil to help with my iron levels because cod liver oil is high in vitamin A, D, E, and K. Vitamin A helps with the absorption of iron, as you know. And then vitamin E helps with antioxidants and inflammation. K helps with blood clotting, and D helps with mental health and hormonal issues as well. So I take cod liver oil, I take magnesium glycinate, I take B6, and I take vitamin E. And then I focus on this diet specifically. I also have electrolyte water every single day where I prioritize adding a pinch of sea salt for some sodium. I will add some magnesium electrolyte drops. I would add cream of tartar for potassium. And I would also add citrus juice for just extra electrolytes. And I'll drink that every single day. For copper, I get copper through having dark chocolate a lot. And so naturally, my intuition led me to doing things I needed to do to help heal my metabolism, to help heal my periods, to help also heal my iron levels because iron is a mineral. So don't forget. So if I'm burning through my minerals really fast, I'm also burning through my iron really fast, which can then lead to iron deficiency anemia. So that's basically how I use my intuition, nutrition, and mindset to heal my body, to heal my periods. And so now I'm just going to continue eating this way. And my skin is also getting better. My body composition is changing. I feel better in my body naturally. I have way less bloating and digestive symptoms. And my periods are getting better and better with every period. So that is basically all I have for this episode. I want to just teach you guys the power of your intuition, using your mind to heal your body, and then also really listening to what your body needs and also eating for your particular body type. Because before, I was eating lots of fibrous carbs for health benefits, but it was not benefiting my body to eat such a large amount of carbs because my metabolism was so fast. I was burning through carbohydrates really fast. And that's why I was always really hungry and dealing with blood sugar issues like the insulin resistance, having a pre-diabetic A1C a few years ago, and then gaining weight, particularly in my stomach area. And just, yeah. So I didn't write down any notes for this episode, so I hope I covered everything. But that's basically how I healed my periods by following a diet for a fat stabilizer and also healing my iron levels. Now I'm trying to wean off of supplements because I want my body to be a natural source of my whatever I need. So I want to view my, not I want to, but I'm viewing and claiming my body, my mind, my health as the source of my health and not relying on supplements as a source because then I'm going to have to rely on supplements for the rest of my life. So now I'm really focused heavily on commanding my body to do what it has to do to heal and to stay healthy. And so I use more herbs and more food versus supplements. So, like for example, for iron levels, every single day I'll have nettle raspberry leaf tea with blackstrap molasses and lemon for my iron levels. For nettle and raspberry leaf tea, I order it from a lady who lives in Florida. I'll give you guys her website. She gave me a code for my clients, so you can use the code VAG Healing Nutrition 10 to get 10% off of her herbs. So I get my raspberry leaf tea from her, and also I get my nettle leaf tea from her. Blackstrap molasses I can get from the supermarket, and then obviously y'all know where to get lemon and lime slices. So that I'll do daily, and I won't take an iron pill every day. But because I have iron-rich foods, I have copper-rich foods, I have retinol-rich foods, and I'm drinking the nettle tea with blackstrap molasses every single day. I don't take an iron pill every day because it's not necessary. So I just listen to my body and what it needs. Around my period, I may take more iron pills, but throughout the month, I will focus more on iron rich foods in general. And so that is basically what I do now. And also, what I forgot to mention is I do use a lot of heavy cream now for the fats. And also, I drink golden milk pretty often for high fats and for anti inflammation. I'm trying to think heavy cream, half and half, dairy. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do now. Let me go over it really quickly. Some things I keep on rotation in my grocery list, just in case I'm forgetting anything. Um, so on my grocery list, I always have ghee, Celtic salt. I'll have kefir, full fat yogurt, sauerkraut, kombucha. I also want to add in buttermilk. Also I have like eggs, steak, veggies, um, butter, heavy cream. I'll have honey. I'll have some fruits in there, some veggies, some seeds, sardines, salmon, pesto, avocado, chimichurri, high fats, dark chocolate, almond butter sometimes. Sometimes bacon. I try not to do too much processed meats, but lamb, mayo, avocado mayo, or olive oil mayo, and then avocado oil, olive oil, full fat coconut milk sometimes. So that's basically what I keep on rotation for my metabolism. And so I trust and know that my body's going to continue healing and having healthy periods if I continue to eat from my body type. And I also bought more herbs besides the nettle and raspberry leaf tea to help keep my body in balance. So there's a certain kind of herbs called adaptogens, and basically they help the body to adapt to stress, but they help your body to come back into equilibrium, into balance. So these herbs support your body by basically, if any of your organs or systems are under functioning or over functioning, it helps to bring things back into equilibrium. So some herbs I ordered were maca root, shatavari root. I ordered holy basil. I ordered um I ordered Ceylon cinnamon. That's just for other benefits. I ordered a lot. I can't remember right now, but let me check my email to see if it'll pop up for me. So I can show you guys. Whole food. Because the company I ordered the other herbs from, so I used Vital Natural. That's where I ordered the raspberry leaf tea from and the nettle. But for the other herbs, oh, it's not in my email. But yeah, I ordered maca root. I ordered shatavari root. I ordered holy basil. I ordered schisandra berry, ginseng, Ceylon cinnamon, and yellow dock. So these herbs I will just keep on rotation throughout my weeks and the months or whatever. And so that is pretty much what I do now for my body. This is why nutrition is very individualized. what works for one person may not work for you, and vice versa. So you have to listen to your intuition and work with a professional that can run tests on you to get to the root cause of your issues, and just really be in tune with your body, and also always speak life over your body. And I continuously listen to my health subliminals on my YouTube channel, particularly my period subliminal. So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, obviously leave them down below, because on Spotify you can leave comments. If you want to work with me, there are ways to work with me down below. And yeah, and I just released a new 5-day vaginal healing meal plan. So if you want to check that out, you can. But otherwise, that's pretty much how I heal my heavy periods. And I hope this inspired you and helped you all to learn things through my journey as well. And I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye, everyone.